Whoa, this is the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. Super early in the morning, man. Got some deep thoughts going on here today or this morning. Take a little walk before I go to work. I've been kind of quiet on the YouTube thing lately, and a lot of it is because there's some madness going on out on spaceship Earth, man. You know, I don't watch television at all, but I do plug in a little bit on the Facebook just to kind of keep track of what's going on out there a little bit. And man, it's some darkness. People are crazy, man, with their just negative vibes, right? And now that I got a 3-week-old child, I realize how important the future is to my child. Like, yeah, I know future tripping and all that kind of stuff, but I'm talking about on a practical daily level. And what I realize that's going on is people really don't know what's going on, man. So I made notes today, dude. That's how important the message is for me that I'm going to talk about today is I think people are totally distracted by nonsense. I want to make it super clear. I don't believe in political parties. I don't believe in government, man. I believe in sovereign human beings, and human beings are the answer. Governments are not the answer. So what I wanted to talk to you, the viewers, about is a term. It's called democide. And if you're not familiar with what democide is murder of any person or people by their government, including genocide, politicide, or mass murder. Democide is not necessarily the elimination of an entire cultural group, but rather groups within the country that the government feels need to be eradicated for political reasons due to claimed future threats. Democide. Just kind of rationalize what that is. Citizenry being killed by their own government for political purposes. Now, you may say, what does that have to do with me? Well, what does it have to do with you? It had to do with you if you were one of the 262 million people of the last century that were killed by their government for political reasons. Can you wrap your head around that number? 262 million people. So 262 million people in the last century, dude, right? That's 6 times more people than were killed by all foreign and international wars. 6 times more people than were killed in wars were killed by their own government. Wrap your head around that for a second. And I'm just going to throw out a couple standards, you know. China killed 76 million of its own citizens. Russia killed 61 million of its own citizens. Germany killed roughly 20 million of its own citizens and people that were under its jurisdiction when it conquered them, i.e. So I'm going to pull a little thread here. We're just going to go down one thread here. And we're going to talk about the kulaks. Who are the kulaks, you may ask? The kulaks were rural farmers in the Ukraine, the breadbasket of Europe. Now, in the 30s, the kulaks were basically landowners. They owned roughly 24 acres. When your average kulak owned 24 acres, and they were farmers, taking care of themselves, minding their own business, until Joseph Stalin came along. Now, Joseph Stalin, and I'm going to quote Joseph Stalin, "We need to liquidate the kulaks as a class of people." Now, how did he liquidate the kulaks? He starved them to death. He basically said that any person that he took away all their land and all their possessions, first off. And then he said that any person who helped a kulak would be deemed an enemy of the state. I mean, do you realize that? Stalin didn't like these people. So how many kulaks were killed by Joseph Stalin? 7 million kulaks in the Ukraine were killed by Joseph Stalin. Starved to death. Not lined up against a wall like Pol Pot. Pol Pot just killed all the intellectuals. Roughly 2 million people that could read, write, think. So we're going to go down the little kulak route. But what we want to do now is get kind of like current with people that are in our government, in our present government right now. Like I said, Obama's no different than Bush is to Clinton is to Reagan. They're all part of the same team of scumbags, dude. People in power on the government level don't view us as individuals. They view us as numbers. Masses of people. They don't view me as an individual or my son or you as an individual. They just view us as blocks of people. Now, presently, there is a guy who advises President Obama. He used to be Jimmy Carter's national security advisor. Who is this man? His name is Zbigniew Brzezinski. Zbigniew. Now, I'm just going to throw out a quote from Zbigniew Brzezinski. Quoting him, his own words. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. That's what this dude's thinking about on his spare time. How to kill 1 million people, because it's easier than controlling 1 million people. That's you and me, by the way, are these people that need to be controlled. And if they can't control us, they need to kill us, dude. Now, just a couple of things of what, Brzezinski did. He helped form the Mujahideen. Who was the Mujahideen? The Mujahideen was the Afghan rebels who fought against the Soviet Union, who became the Taliban, who became Al-Qaeda, who are now ISIS. Brzezinski also, and part of his advisory capacity to the Obama administration, advised that we should go wipe Libya off the map. Just do your research on Libya. And, he was also instrumental in the United States selling the Panama Canal to China, or giving the Panama Canal to China. I forgot, we didn't make any money on that deal. We just built it and gave it to them. To the objection of the Panamanian people, by the way. So, I just wanted to give you what President Obama thinks of Zbigniew, who says today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. Obama says of this in 2007, one of our most outstanding thinkers. So, when I see people getting all up in arms about Confederate flags, dude, for some reason, or rainbow flags, or all this kind of sideline nonsense, I don't really think they understand the concept of democide. These are issues to distract us from the truth. And the truth is, the government of any nation is not the friend of its people. Just face it, man. You want to think that your government is your friend. Well, they're not. And us as Americans, if you use that term loosely nowadays, we got what was called the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, and the whole concept behind these documents were to say that the government isn't going to control us, that we, the people, are the government. Because if you allow the government to be anything but you and me and your neighbor, we are subject to these insane concepts of humanity, which views us not as individuals, but which views us as blocks of people to be willy-nilly exterminated because we don't toe the party line. Now, we can see this happening all around us if we look closely, and I get it. It is easier to take the Confederate flag down than to admit that the people running the governments of the world are out to basically eliminate us. Really? That's crazy. No, it's not. Because the numbers don't lie. 262 people, 262 million people last century who wanted nothing more to do than go picnicking on a Sunday were wiped off the face of this planet by their government that was there to serve and protect them. You see, the greatest deception we have as human beings is to abdicate our authority to other human beings. We are in charge of our own lives. I will never swear allegiance to any government. It's not going to happen, man. So, when I see all the madness going on out there, I'm like, dude, the real madness is we think that the people running the FDA, running the EPA, running any sort of governmental organization have our best interest at heart. Really? Really? You think Monsanto has your best interest at heart? Do you think the people dumping fluoride and known carcinogen into our drinking water have our best interest at heart? Do you think it just goes on and on. Look, Democide. Just go look up Democide for yourself. And wake up to the fact that your government is not your friend. And that if you think your government is here to help you, you are sadly mistaken. And if you think that Obama's any different than George Bush, you're sadly mistaken. If you think that Hillary Clinton is any different than Joseph Stalin, you're sadly mistaken. If you were thinking that any of these people that want to be in charge of you are here to help you, you suffer from madness. Anyway, man, that's what I'm thinking about at 5 o'clock in the morning, is freeing myself from the bondage of governments, man. Hey, I want to thank Bill for providing this gimbal for me, man. Some smooth, no shaky cam video this morning, right? Anyway, this is The Illusion, man. I'm going to tune out, go to work.